Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ain't This the Fun podcast number 23. Your place for all things positive and pop culture, as Childress likes to say. And speaking of, we have our usual bi-weekly guest, Mr. Childress. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. When you type that, you have that, and people can join in on the chat, as I'm sure you'll remind people, but you type that in the chat, and the first thing I think of, as I mentioned on one of the previous Ain't This the Fun shows, that I love the Arnold Schwarzenegger soundboard prank calls. And one of them is from Kindergarten Cop, where he goes, "Hello, everybody." Right. And they frequently use that a lot. So when you type that, that's all I hear is "Hello, everybody."
Oh, and when I begin the thing there,
yes.
That first thing I put out,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're watching live, which I hope you are, but if you're watching at all, please comment down below the video there on YouTube and like the channel and like the video. A little thumbs up, that'd be great. If you hit the little bell, that means you're going to be notified anytime I post a video or go live. It's always helpful. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, you can go in there. Again, I think it's called follow now. I don't think it's called subscribe, but please follow, write a little review, or write a little note underneath the podcast. That would be great for me. I really would appreciate it. Now that we're done with all that, let's remind everybody. Your, what was it? A 1 month hiatus for the friendship dilemma. 1 month?
More than that.
6 weeks? 2 months?
It was like almost 2.5 months. It was like our last episode was in April.
Ah, there you go.
At the end of April, and then the film festival was started. Morgan was traveling a lot. Right. There was some COVID got thrown in there a little bit. So, but we finally got last week's episode up. So, episode 11 of the Friendship Dilemma is up, and we have a 12th episode that we're actually going to be taping this weekend about Mad Max Fury Road.
Come on. So good.
And it's going to be our first show with guests, actually.
What? Yeah. I imagine there's one person in particular who would be very happy to be on an episode with that movie. I mean, we all like the movie.
Yeah.
But I know of one person who loves that movie. Well, is that the special guest? Or am I ruining something?
No. I mean, I'll happily tell you who it is, because we might as well hype it.
Sure.
But as soon as we told these two people this was going to be we have two guests. Told these two people that we were going to be doing the episode. They all both of them almost like on separate days, separate occasions, and separate people. Just like, if you need someone to come on and talk about it, I'd be happy to, one of those things. And we're just like, okay, let's see if everyone's available. So next week sometime, the 12th episode of the Friendship Dilemma will be out about Mad Max Fury Road, and we'll be joined in a reunion of sorts. Morgan and myself will be joined by Colin Suter and Nick DiGilio.
See, Nick I saw coming. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But Colin wanted to jump in too. He's like, oh, well, hey.
Morgan just did Colin's show, Christmas Movies, actually, and they talked about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and Matt Fury Road got brought up. So yes, Colin is a huge George Miller fan, and he's obviously a huge Mad Max film in general. Like he'll go off on Thunderdome. Like he is like Thunderdome is high on his Miller list. So yeah, it's going to be it should be an interesting discussion. Nick started listening to the show a couple of weeks ago and said some very nice things privately and on his podcast last week when Steve and I were on. And so having him on is first time in 20 some years. Had him on my show, one of my shows. So this is gonna be something really special, and God knows between the four of us who all think that that's one of the most perfect action movies ever made.
It's I mean, again, I will always love Die Hard more than anything else, but Fury Road's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, if I ever hear anybody say I didn't like Fury Road, I don't know what I could possibly think of them after that.
it's a mystery.
Yeah, you know, again, I can't comprehend how someone could watch that movie and be like, A, it was boring, or B, it was, you know, stupid, or C, you know, what I can't imagine a. You might be able to say critique it and say something like, you know, it's just a bunch of cars. I don't agree with that, but
Yeah.
like, it's just it's a thrill ride. I mean, it's a literal amusement ride made into a movie, and it's great. It's fantastic.
The movie is a literal miracle.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I'll just throw this up. I bought this, so you don't.
Yeah, no promotion button. Okay.
I've been studying for the.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
This book is. I mean, I'm only a little bit ways through it, but I mean, the story of this. I mean, I remember.
Wasn't it like 3.5 years or something ridiculous?
It's crazy, and I mean, this is something I'm gonna bring up on the show as well. But I remember, like it was yesterday, I was at CinemaCon in Las Vegas. Okay, and we had to go to an actual theater. We weren't at Caesar's Palace. We had to go to an actual theater to see that Sacha Baron Cohen movie, The Dictator.
Yeah.
They were showing that as one of their couple movies that they show at the thing, which isn't a festival. It's a publicity tour basically. But they were showing that movie for the theater owners, and we got to go see it. So we went to the theater, and I was outside in the line waiting to get in with Drew McWeeny, who's another film journalist. He used back in the day used to write for Ain't It Cool News. He's 80s all over, very well known in the film community. And we've known each other for years, and we were standing in line, and he showed me a picture on his phone, and it was a picture on his phone of Furiosa's truck in the middle of the desert. This was 2012.
What?
2012. That's when the movie was starting to film. The movie came out in 2015.
Okay, so yeah, 3.5 years. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, 2012. I saw like that. Like they were just getting started. Apparently,
that movie's 7. That can't be right. 7 years old?
Yeah.
No.
2015.
Really? If you had asked me that, I wouldn't believe you. I'd say, screw you. You're lying to me. There's no how really 7 years old.
Yeah.
I've yet to watch the black and white version.
I'm sure that's going to come up too on the show. When we did it at Elk Grove, we did for the Critics Classic series. They wanted to do the black and white version. I have to say, I mean, I think there's something cool about taking a movie and making it a black and white version, but I gotta say I don't agree with this one. I don't think there's any reason. Like it makes sense, like to do The Mist. Stephen King's The Mist.
Yeah, yes.
Old school monster movie flavor, that made sense to me. That looks really good. Mad Max Fury Road is a Technicolor marvel.
Those explosions from that drone footage over the caravan and the just kind of smoke bomb things are going off in the air as that drone is flying over.
Right.
Man, that's I still want to see it just for the sake of saying I saw it because it's another way to watch it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's too cool to not.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Obviously, you don't lose any of the thrills or anything, but it's just there's something of. I mean, that movie literally bursts in every possible definition of the word off the screen. So I don't know why you'd want to take an element of that away.
And the transition from the sand and the color to ultimately inside the storm, and then ultimately the tar pit area.
Mm-hmm.
It's so dramatic, the color switch from super crazy bright sun, sand colors to
outside at night where they're having the battles at night and stuff. It's not. I
still, again, I'm not crapping on it. I think of it my second or third video watch. It will probably be the black and white one, just to say I saw it. Unlike Justice League black and white, which is almost unnecessary.
So again, stupid. Why would I mean? I don't even like that movie, but that's just dumb.
He's an artiste. Would you stop it?
Who's an artiste? Zack Snyder? We doing this? Are we going to do this? I thought this was the other show, Pissed.
That's right.
We're workshopping Pissed.
Yeah, that's going to be on our Patreon. You're going to have to pay to hear us crab about stuff.
I really think we need to do Pissed.
Okay.
Just to have that title. Patreon, Pissed on Patreon. Come on. Boom!
But there you go.
Pissed on Patreon.
I don't know if they'll let us have a podcast called Pissed, Pissed, so we're going to have to figure another. We're going to have to spell it funny.
Pized?
I don't know. Pized. We'll figure it out.
Patreon has a language thing in its title.
Not Patreon, like iTunes and stuff. I don't think you can call it like Pissed. I don't know if they'll let you.
Could do.
I'd have to ask. I'd have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies, we saw a movie since the last time I had. There's been a little hiatus. I didn't do it last week. I've had some personal stuff come up. It wasn't so great. And then Colin, and then so the last time we spoke, in the sense we saw Thor: Love and Thunder, and boy did we hate it.
Oh, yeah, that's that could be its own episode of Pissed.
Well, you already have its own episode.
Yeah.
The Movie Madness podcast was not the one that came out this week, but last week, the Thursday or whatever before the movie came out. Yeah, we hated it. So if you want to listen to us be pissed about something that should have been way better, I think it's I don't remember the number, but it was 2 weeks ago. But look for
316, episode 316.
Movie Madness podcast.
Yeah.
Get it on iTunes.
I got a couple very negative comments about that show from people who had clearly not seen the movie yet either, which is always fun when someone who's not seen the movie just tells you to drop dead because you shit on your little Marvel movie.
And I bet you that person has not read the comics. I bet you that person does not know anything about the story from the comics. I bet you, like you said, they didn't even see the movie yet. They're just mad that we didn't like it. They're not taking any of our actual critical information. Again, you can like it. We're not going to yuck your yum. Like I always say, I hope more people like all the Marvel movies, even the ones I don't like, because it just means I get more Marvel movies.
Right.
But this movie was garbage. But yeah, that's another podcast. If whoever's watching this or listening, it's a good 2.5 hours of us bitching and moaning about it because it's
over 2.
It's not good.
No.
So yeah, like I said, past 2 weeks have not been so great. So I did definitely need to figure out what made me happy, because I haven't been. But this podcast is made to try to make people happy, and I'm hoping it does that for me. And we're now in month, what do we figure out? 27 of the Nightmare Hellscape that we've been dealing with. And because of that, we're each going to talk about 3 things that are bringing us joy or making us happy or laugh. And we're then going to talk about 1 thing that we're looking forward to, that we anticipate is going to make us happy or bring us joy. I probably would have said Thor at one point and then been sorely mistaken afterward.
And it doesn't even... Well, the thing is that the mere act of the anticipation is the thing that makes us happy. Whether it ends up making us happy is irrelevant.
True.
It's the fact that the level of anticipation building up to something that we want to see, and if it sucks, then it ends up on Pissed. But until then, we're happy about it because there's hope, as I like to say.
True.
There's a possibility that it could make us happy.
Very true. So, like I always say, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I would like to go first.
Go for it.
Today, actually. And the first thing I'm going to say, or bring up, isn't necessarily something physical, tangible product kind of thing. It's just something that happened recently.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I don't think.
No, Adam Johnston. No.
Adam just put Thor: Love and Thunder is better than Endgame. That's trolling. No. He's doing that on purpose.
Okay,
Adam's doing that on purpose.
It's not even a good troll because it's just stupid.
Remember, we don't want to yuck yums. If he likes it, he likes it. But it's not better than Endgame. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Well, remember how I always say it? I said, you can like what you like, but if you challenge me on it, I'm coming for you.
Endgame. Even if you didn't like Endgame, even if you didn't like Endgame,
No,
the last 20 to 25 minutes of that movie is, in and of itself, better than 90% of the movies that have come out in the last 4 or 5 years. For comic book fan, at the very least, if you're a comic book fan and you saw the last 25, 30 minutes of Endgame and somehow you think that that's a bad movie,
It took him 10 years to get to the final 20 minutes of that movie, and Taika, went on a cocaine bender or something and wrote Love and Thunder.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Normally this is about positivity, but we're gonna talk about this really quick as an addendum to your podcast because I don't publish the video of us talking about the podcast because now we do it remotely, unfortunately. But the worst movie. Now he's just trolling. It's not the worst movie ever made. Literally, well, Disney's literally put out garbage movies that aren't Marvel movies. So
that's
that's
just
that's why he's just trolling. He's just trolling.
I don't like trolls. I don't like it. It's dumb. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of their time.
You know what's great though, since then, is that there's all these great articles about like what TV who we're fans of, and I've had to say this multiple times to people.
I haven't been the last 2 weeks for a number of reasons.
I understand, but the TV shows, the movies, What We Do in the Shadows. I happen to like Our Flag Means Death. A bunch of stuff that he does. Okay, so again, we're gonna get back to positivity in a second, but there's articles with quotes from him in it, basically saying 3 things. One, he got to run roughshod over Feige. He's like, yeah, he wanted me to cut stuff. I told him no. And somehow that was okay. I don't know how that happens. 2, he said, I purposely wanted to give them a Thor, parentheses, one that was in love, that nobody wanted. Okay, so if you know nobody wants it, why would you do it? I don't understand that. And then he said, yeah, my original cut was right around 3 hours, and it featured more cool Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, and there's 2 full characters that are cut out of the movie.
3, I heard.
Yeah, at least 2.
Yeah.
So much so, there's a lawsuit about it. She had to sue.
That's one of them.
Yeah, there's so much awesome stuff. That's probably why it's such a mess to us, on top of the things we've already think are messy story-wise. Why it doesn't appear to be tonally, it doesn't make any sense. I don't get what they were doing.
And not just that, and we're cutting this out for piss, right?
Yeah.
But if you didn't see the video this week, sometimes they do these jokey, the 2 actors, they interview each other. Ooh, it's cute.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they had Taika Waititi and Tessa Thompson together. Okay, and there's a video of them watching special effects shots from the new Thor movie, okay? And Taika basically just shitting on him. Now,
yes.
And this comes right in the period where a lot of visual effects houses, not just the one, there's a lot of articles about visual effects houses and Marvel, being at odds right now. But
what was
visual
this?
Effects, I don't know.
What's going on there?
I was trying to do something.
Oh.
That.
Okay.
That's what Marvel's doing.
Wait, hold on. We're gonna get demonetized. We're gonna get canceled.
Really? Okay.
No, I mean YouTube. There you go.
YouTube,
the dog.
Okay.
The dog.
Right. Exactly. The shark eating the thing. Anyway, but visual effects artists in general are like overworked. They're all trying to catch up with all these movies and whatnot. And so to have a major director from the biggest thing in the world right now come out and run roughshod over their work,
it's not a good look.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look. And I mean, I think of all the things we crapped on in the podcast, I can't remember us saying a negative word about the special effects.
No, but I think we did make mention that it looked like the budget had been cut. Yet, what's interesting, what's interesting is that they're saying this is one of the most expensive Marvel movies ever made.
That's
probably
cute.
Because there was a 3.5 hour cut, and they cut 2 hours out of it. That was probably the interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
What is the most expensive Marvel movie ever made?
$250 million budget for Thor.
That's a lot. That's a lot. They usually come in around, a lot of them come in around 200.
Because even Endgame and Infinity War all their salaries weren't part of the making because a lot of them were back-end deals, so it came out of the profits. So I think they're saying this is either the most expensive or second or third. When you think of all the people in Infinity War and all the people in Endgame and all the people in Ultron and all the special effects and all that stuff they did, just the battle at the end of Endgame alone probably cost them VFX, hundreds of millions of dollars. They're saying that this is one of the most expensive Marvel movies, and you can't tell. The scope of it is
I can give you the budgets right now on all the Marvel movies if you want.
No.
No.
It'll just make me sad because I really wanted this Thor movie to be good.
Both the Infinity War and Endgame cost over $300 million.
Okay, so like third then probably $250 for this. They said
$250. I think Ultron cost $250.
Okay, so tied for third.
Like $220. Yeah. So I mean,
tied for third.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And screw them.
Yeah. Well, they cut all that money out because there's 2 hours of movie missing somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're trying to stay positive. Sorry, a little bit of it, little indebted. If you want to hear the rest of us complaining about complaining about that movie, Movie Madness podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry. So I cut you off. So
that's
please.
Okay. That's
continue.
okay. I was saying it was not something tangible. This isn't exactly something you can buy in a store. It's only something you can kind of hope. Again. Happens in your life, and I'll expand upon it a little bit, but I became a godfather again this past week, but you got to see the video of the asking. My sister Jennifer had her little boy Jack, my nephew, run downstairs with literally a picture of the Godfather, which I have around here.
I was gonna say you gotta have that, right? You kept it?
No, here it is. Literally comes down with this picture.
That's so great.
Yeah, and come down and memorized, will you be my godfather? Not that he knows what that means, but he was very excited to ask me about it. And I'm also godfather to my other sister Kimberly's her firstborn, Isabel, which Isabel just kind of realized this weekend. She's like, "You're my godfather?" I'm like, yeah. And she was very happy, by the way. It wasn't a look of disgust or anything. She was very happy about that.
I'm running away.
So
he literally made an offer you couldn't refuse.
Bingo.
You like that? Did I steal that from you? I apologize.
Did not.
Okay,
no, you
good.
Did not. No, I got another segue for later on.
Nice.
But again, and Jack he's just days away from being 3 years old. And people are going, 3 years old, baptized. Like, well, hellscape has happened over the last couple of years. He was born in 2019, and they were trying to set up a baptism for the very specific priest at the very parish where they were married. Okay, scheduling, pandemic. And so for at least that first year, no one's wants to do anything. And whatnot. People aren't even going to the doctor and the dentist and stuff, let alone, having priests touch their children. Anyway.
That didn't come out right.
Nope. No.
Baptize their children.
Baptize their children.
No one wants the other thing.
No, Spotlight, great movie, by the way.
There you go.
Anyway, so like a week, not even a week, like less than a week before the baptism, so we are told, everyone was being asked, godfather, godmothers, and whatnot, and Kimberly, my other sister, became godmother to their newborn, McKenna, and so we had the ceremony on Sunday, and he's just the whip smart little. You've met him many times, obviously, and he's just the best. He's a handful, but she's a kid, so that comes with the territory. And yeah, he's just absolutely wonderful, and getting to be there with him while his dad dunks this giant kid in the thing like this. I just wanted to hold him up by a leg.
Sure.
Do like the what's the guy Achilles. Like Achilles.
Yes.
Exactly.
There was someone else who notoriously hung a kid off of a balcony by the leg. I didn't want you to reference him.
Well, he didn't do it by the leg. He just kind of
No, it wasn't it. I
no.
think it
I
was
don't think
by the leg.
I don't think so. I think he just kind of he pulled him over. He put him over the railing
Okay.
and kind of went ooh like that, and then brought him back in. And then we don't need to go into whatever happened there. But yeah, it's you know, I bring this up because it's a very specific kind of joy, and you know, it's one thing to think that there's an obligation to hear the words "I love you" sometimes, but it means something when someone says it to you and you believe it, and when you can feel it. And in this nightmare hellscape that we're living in, that's something that couldn't be more important. I don't even know. Can you read the sign behind me, by the way? Over here.
The one with the like movie letters in it?
Yeah,
no.
Like right there. You can't read it. I'm gonna get it because I found this in my basement. I found the Atari 5200 and I found this as well. And it's just it was so perfect that I have to keep it around because it's funny that it's a philosophy that I've lived by in so many respects, and usually my anger issues when they come out are usually as a result of people not heeding this advice, which is so easy to do, honestly. And this is what it says.
That's true.
You know,
it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Yeah. I don't understand why everyone has problems. You know, we all have things we have to deal with, but why that needs to affect the way you treat other human beings. You know, if they're jerks to you, you know, fair game. But, you know, strangers, you know, you don't have to trust strangers, but you can be nice to them. There's no reason you can't be.
It costs you nothing.
Costs you nothing, no matter what race, creed, religion, you know, whatever. Doesn't matter. What costs you nothing to be nice. If they, you know, they push you in front of a bus, well, you might be dead, but you know,
you can attack him in the afterlife. You could.
Yeah, exactly. You Valhalla. Don't worry, you're all going to Valhalla.
That's true.
That fucking movie. It's not the worst movie ever Disney ever produced. I keep seeing that at the corner of my eye here. It's driving me nuts. I'll go through the entire Disney catalog in a second. But yeah, but it just made me think of that, you know, the very specific joy of a child who knows nothing but being decent, really. You know, they might try to fool you a little bit, but they're not doing it with malicious intent. They might just try to get away with something, but they're not being mean to you. They don't really know any better. You grow up, you're supposed to know better. You know, I don't care who raised you. You're just supposed to know better, that being a decent people. And if everyone was just decent, the world would be a better place because people would be left alone. People would be respected a lot more. There'd be a lot more empathy for other people's problems.
You would hope, right?
I don't think I even have to hope that. I think I know that.
Well,
I think that if everyone was
unfortunately, in this nightmare hellscape we're living in, even common decency is a luxury at this point half the time. Well, unfortunately,
I'm not saying it's not a luxury. I'm just saying that if the pixie dust spread and everyone all of a sudden woke up tomorrow and started being decent to one another, you'd see a lot less stress levels. You know, I mean, there are other things to stress you out, but you shouldn't have to worry about people being an asshole. You should not. That's at the very least, you should not have to worry about that.
Well, much like the baptism and them asking you, and it's another thing that costs nothing.
Right.
You can't buy that.
Right.
I mean, I suppose in some weird world you could, but I mean, for the most part, you can't buy that. It's love. It's respect. It's the fact they chose you.
Right.
It's not just because you're the brother. I know that. I know that. it's because, I mean, I've seen him over there. He loves being by uncle and, all that stuff, grandma and the kids, a ball of fire. I know he always asks about the dog. Doggy? Is your friend bringing the doggy?
Uncle Friend, he calls you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you can't. I'm only a Godfather times 1, and it happened a long time ago. But, it's nice to know that someone says, back. I remember, again, it's been a long time, but I always thought the old school version of the Godfather thing, like, well, if we die, that means you're gonna go with them. They're gonna take care of you. Like that kind of like this, like.
Isn't that part of the deal? I thought that's all. Did that go away?
No, but I think it's way more.
That's in like the baptism ceremony. It's
yes,
implied,
but
really?
I think it's more the way it was explained to me was way more like not nihilistic, but like, well, we're gonna go. So like, it's not it's not like they said something's gonna happen, but it was very much like, if bad things happen, this is what's going to happen. It was like more of a very rudimentary book explanation. It wasn't, there wasn't like and not that my parents were loving, they were very loving, but even family members, when they explained it, but it was way more like, these things happen. If these horrible things happen, then that's what happens. I think for the most part now, it's just understood, and it's more of a fun thing. What I'm saying is it's still an honor.
Yes.
But it's not like doom and gloom. It's not, you're the Godfather, and so you're the Godfather because if I go, you got to take care of my kid. Yeah.
I'm not just a contingency plan.
Exactly. Right. It's because they love you. And I'm sure that's the same way it was when 20, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying it felt different. When I hear people say it now, it's all like, no one goes, yeah, well, if they die, I'm going to take care of the kid. Like, that's not the first thing that comes up. It's, the Godfather. No, I get to be the fun, goofy uncle or this guy or that guy. It's more of a fun thing as opposed to a obligation or duty on top of the love.
Right.
Yeah. So, that's awesome. The video, you sent a great video. That was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, wonderful.
Was it, you be my Godfather?
Will you be my Godfather?
That's great.
Carrying the picture.
That's awesome.
All the way through.
Super cute.
Yeah. So that's what made me happy this week.
That's
or
great.
Last week. One thing.
And
Someday.
you, I'm assuming you're saving the video. You're gonna pull that aside and save it somewhere.
Oh please, no, I'll definitely have copies of that.
That's awesome. Mine isn't nearly as fun and sentimental. I wish it was.
Sorry.
No, that's hey, like I said, it whatever makes you happy, right? So, mine's more of a practicality thing, but I made an investment about 3.5 years ago, and it's not a financial investment. Well, it's financial, but it's not about money. I am fascinated with solar power. I don't know if I've ever told you. I mean, we talk, but it's not like I'll go, hey, I want solar panels. Yeah. I am eternally fascinated by the idea that a couple, pane of glass and some wiring, if configured in just the right way, will give you power for free from the sun, and it costs you nothing. It's amazing. It's science. Because I believe in science.
It's science.
And when a scientist says this is what happens, and then you can test it and it works, I love it.
Especially considering I was bad at science. I trust scientists to tell me how things work.
If we could all be that way. So the idea is nowadays battery technology is fantastic, and you got every car manufacturer making some sort of electric vehicle and all this great stuff. About 3 years ago, I don't have the money to put solar panels on my house. I would do it in about 2 seconds because there's only, I think, 2 things in this house that run on gas. It would take literally nothing to convert those to electric, replace them if I had the money. And then everything could just run off electricity, and then I would solar panel the roof. I watch YouTube videos about it. I've tried running numbers to see just how much it would cost me to start a little setup on my roof. I can't afford it. Not because it's horrendously expensive. It's just I don't have the money liquid in the last few
Right.
years. However, I said, you know what I could do as a small effort to stop wasting energy and maybe save a couple bucks is, you know how many electronic devices, when you really think about it, how many electronic devices you have running in your house? You got however many cell phones and tablets now, and all my controllers for my video games and stuff like this are run off of rechargeable batteries. I will plug them. They do not pay me, but there's a company, it's Eneloop. They are absolutely fantastic rechargeable batteries. I've literally had a set for probably 8 years. They still charge and work amazing. A lot of them don't hold their charging ability. I must use them a million times, and they're still working great. Anything I can run off a battery or charge, like a cell phone or a tablet, or the new Xbox Elite controller only lets you charge it. You can't take the batteries out of it.
Yeah.
I go, you know, what would it cost me to get a small, portable, temporary solar solution? I can't get, 40 panels on the roof of my house, so what would it cost? It wasn't cheap, but I want to say for about $450. This is 3 years ago or so. I bought a couple solutions. The beauty of this is you put solar panels on the roof, you can't take them anywhere. They're on your house. So, but what I could do with this is I can camp. Say I want to go camping or I want to go somewhere, you can take these panels with you. So they're weatherproof. They're temporary. I'm going to show you that it's kind of big, so I have to kind of move back here. So tell me if it's hard to hear me.
Okay.
So the first thing is you can charge things directly off of a solar panel. It comes with charging cables of various types. I specifically got one that also had multiple tips, USB A-B-C, B-C now, and other ones. But you can also get battery backups. So one of the things I got was a super high-capacity Anchor. Again, they're not giving this to me. An Anchor battery. I can charge a full, large iPad like 30 times with this. And that's just this little guy. Okay, maybe not 30, or maybe around 20. I should say that. Because this guy, it's a little bit bigger. It's a portable battery. So it'll turn it on here. It even shows you a little percentage that it's currently charged. But if you notice, it's got the cigarette lighter adapter, 2 USB ports, USB-C high speed out. So it charges things double fast on the USB-C. It even has a wall socket on it, and you turn them on, blah, blah, blah. And if you charge this.
Yeah.
So I got this so that, say the power goes out. I always run around looking for flashlights, looking for this, looking for that. You can literally run, my Mrs. Fun was working from home at the time. So, well, no. Later on, she did. I think she would come home every once in a while, work from home. But regardless, it's nice to have a battery in your house that will run stuff. Sure. If this is fully charged, I can power an Xbox and a television and an air conditioning unit for almost a whole day. Like if you wanted to just sit in a small room or a camper or in or whatever and have a TV or whatever. So it's nice for multiple reasons for that. So these are the battery solutions. But then I got this solar panel that's also portable. And so as you can see, it's got these big giant cords. One is a high capacity output to charge the battery quicker. And then it's just got a little USB guy. And this I plug into the battery pack. So it's charging both the large capacity battery and the little battery pack that you can throw in your pocket or, you're going to a convention, you're going out of town, whatever, throw it in the car. You have a little bit extra power. But the idea is you unclip this thing and it unfolds. It's called Rock Pals makes this, but there's a couple different companies that do. But in essence, this thing unfolds, and there's see the panel, the different texture. There's 4 of those on here, so it unfolds completely. And what I do every 2 days or so, it does work in the winter, a little bit less so because we live in the Chicagoland area. But in the summer, I throw this out, and about 3/4 of the day in the backyard before the shade hits fully charges the battery and the extra little high capacity battery.
Mm-hmm.
If I even need to, I could do it every day. I probably only do that once a week. I charge both of our watches, both of our phones, both of our iPads, all my controllers, all the batteries, whenever I need to, all week long. And the battery holds. It's Thursday, and what does it say? 35%. So for the past, all day today, in the last 4 days, we've used this to charge whatever you need to charge. And this is 3 years I've been using this stuff. Haven't had to pay a cent. If we need to go on a trip, throw all of this in the car. You'll never run out of power because you just throw the panels on the roof of your car and you can charge things or your phones. You'll never be out. You're going on a trip, going camping, bring it with you. Throw it on, just throw it out while you're out going for your bike ride or whatever. By the time you come back, you got a battery. You could light fires with this. You could do all kinds of, hook anything up to it that you wanted. Radios, whatever. And it's just... I love it. I love the idea that with a little bit of money, I'm sure at this point I've paid that off. Ideally.
Yeah.
I want a much bigger solution. I would like my whole roof front and back and just convert my whole house to all electric. I just, like I said, I don't have the money. But watching videos of people using solar power, and people go, oh, it's not cost effective. It's garbage. It's a pain. I don't like it. This and that and the other. If you watch these people do the math, and they'll show you, this is how many kilowatts I'm putting out. This is my battery backup system. This is exactly how much I spent. They'll show you receipts and everything. This is the people who installed it. My state gave me back 40% of what I spent to put this stuff on my house. Now I'm selling my power back to, power company A or whoever.
Right.
So I'm actually making money now every month. So not only is all my stuff paid off, but they're actually sending me a check. I'm selling my power back to the power company. And in addition to that, you can get some small wind solutions. In Chicago, you would need a combo because in the winter you have more wind than you do sun, obviously. But I love it. Like I said, you're running out. You know how many, just think about it now in your house. How many things do you have plugged in charging at any given time?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, I'm just looking right here. I got 2 monitors on right now and a computer that's also plugged into a battery backup.
Nice.
In case the power, goes kablooey. I don't currently have the phone being charged.
But during the day, during a 24-hour day, how many things are you plugging into a wall to charge?
I'm just do the math on it.
That's just your house. Other people, you have kids.
Yeah.
You got 3-4 kids, they're all charging things and controllers and phones and tablets and this and that and the other.
I get tired of getting the emails from ComEd. I get like weekly updates from ComEd, and they say like, you've used less or more electricity than you did last week. I appreciate those emails because then this is your estimate bill and whatnot. Okay, cool. But in every single email, it's like you use more electricity than anyone in the tri-state area, and I'm just like, I keep thinking how is like either nobody around me uses electricity. Because the computers, it's not like I got every TV in the house on. There's usually one TV at a time. I got my workstation here at my monitors. This is probably the bulk of the electricity is probably right here.
Oh, definitely. Computers are notoriously bad power consumption.
Okay. But I can't believe that nobody in my neighborhood has a computer.
If it's any consolation, I think it's a scam because literally our bills say the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's
always, like you're top
4%
of your neighborhood or whatever, and I'm like, okay,
you gotta be shitting me. Because before at the old house, I can understand it. There was a lot more, there was more TVs on and all kind of stuff. Especially when you had more people living in the house, it made a lot more sense. Now, just a couple people in the house and one TV on, computer stuff. Things are plugged in, but. It's not like I got Lexus running in every room in the house.
And think about it. Everything we use, especially if you're kind of diligent about it.
Yeah.
I love the idea. It's not min-maxing. They call it min-maxing in a game. Minimum effort, maximum gain. You know, you min-max your character, so,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I've converted every single bulb in this house to, first it was the incandescent bulb, which saved power and energy.
Yeah.
Now everything's LED.
Yeah.
They even have soft white, so it looks like an old bulb, if that's your deal. Yeah, I don't want it to be blue. I want it, bluish. I want it to be soft white. They even have soft white LEDs now. You can even control the power consumption. You can dim it. You can have it dim to a certain power consumption level. Even silly things like these one-up arcade machines. An old CRT screen would be in that thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a true arcade machine. Even something as silly as that is run on a paper-thin LCD monitor with basically a tiny little, they call them Raspberry Pis. They're kind of these little computers. That thing is basically running less power than like an old Atari. Everything that's being made now is either Energy Star efficient or, they're doing this stuff on purpose. It consumes less power, and if the idea would be is, you could convert something to solar, you literally don't have to pay to use less. So how the hell we're both the top 4%? It's a scam. They're trying to get you to use less power so that they don't. I bet you any money if we ask someone else to be like, yeah, I get that same thing on my bill.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's genius. I say like, oh, it'd be great because it'd be portable. Well, guess what happened right after we bought the damn things? Nightmare Hellscape. And so we haven't been able to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You want to go on a road trip, it'd be cool, but where am I going to go? I'm not going to go to a campground with 200 other people breathing all over everything. And at the time, when it was really, really, really heavy and brand new, we're not jumping in the car and taking this stuff anywhere.
I don't know why you want to go to a campground anyway.
Well, if you like camping. Mrs. Fun is not a big... She's never camped. And I'm like, we should go.
She's a smart woman.
What?
She's a smart lady.
I like camping. I like going, but yeah, in this case, it'd be neat to go, even if it's for a couple days or whatever, have a day out. But you could take these with, or if here's another thing, how like, oh, we're having a party outside, it's gonna be awesome, it'd be great, and you want to plug stereos in it, radios or whatever. You go, I got these cool Bluetooth speaker to plug it, my phone. Everyone can log in and play their music. You got to look for a plug. You can take this thing, put the solar panel on it, so it's literally charging the battery while you're using it, like it's actively charging it.
Yeah.
Hold it, turn it on. You could plug 20 different devices into here. Electric grills, phones, Bluetooth, this, that, and the other. Throw it out in the middle of the yard. It'll never run out of power the whole day because it's fully charged. It's charging while you're using it, and then you're using it.
No, it's very cool.
And so, it's just... I've become really accustomed to, like, I'll be in the bedroom and I'll go to, like, charge my phone. I'll be like, I'll get up, I'll walk in the living room, plug it in there to charge it off the battery, because why waste it?
I don't know why. I don't want to know what you're charging in the bedroom, by the way.
My phone.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Reach his own.
Yeah. So, yeah, this little kind of small solution solar power thing. I like the idea of it. I can't wait. If I could ever get to the point where I could afford a full roof installation, our house is almost perfectly east-west.
Mm-hmm.
And our house is what they call a raised A-frame. So we don't really have a second story, but our roof is very steep. And so if you put a series of panels on the one side and a series of panels on the other, the sun would literally go from one side of the house almost perfectly to the front. It would the roof is it would just soak up so much power all day long. And I could be selling that stuff off right back to the power company. But anyway, it's a dream.
Yeah. One of many.
Yeah. So.
All right. So on to my number 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The last time we talked, I think it was the last time we did this. That was one of my things right there.
Yep, Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger had come out. What I have this week is not something that's new, actually, but it correlates kind of to that. And I hosted a screening just last week, actually, of this. And I hadn't seen this movie in some time. It had been a while since I actually had sat down and watched the whole thing. And I don't know how long it's been since you've seen the movie, but there's
A
been
long time.
okay. There over time. I mean, this movie came in 1985. You want to talk about that's 30 years before Fury Road. Okay. And over time, people in our generation, roughly, there's been kind of a turning a bit on this movie. At least maybe people
against it.
Circle. Oh yeah,
What?
People in my circle that I've talked to, people you've had on your show, even, and and I get some of the arguments against it. The idea that you have a lot of kids talking and screaming over one another, that if you're not privy to that, or you're very easily annoyed by that kind of thing, maybe the movie might wear on your nerves a little bit, because you eventually get to the point where it's 6 or 7 characters in a room at one time. And I'm just talking about the Goonies themselves. We're all talking over one another and trying to get their lines in, their character traits in, and all that kind of stuff. So I went in, I was just like, I wonder if this movie is going to hold up in the way that I grew up really liking this movie when I was 10 years old and saw it at Woodfield one afternoon.
Good pull.
Thank you. And I'm happy to report that it did. Like this movie is still just a lot of fun, and it really, I mean, I had a real smile on my face watching it, because I didn't feel like I was watching a lot of bad kid actors. You know, I mean, there are movies where you can watch, you know, you might have, you know, one good kid actor and one bad kid actor, and I think their styles clash and stuff like that, their talent levels, and you don't get that sense watching this. And you also have a case where you have, like, first really theatrical debuts anyway of Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, Cary Green was another one, but you also had, so you have, like, there are a lot of really great stories attached to this. That Sean Astin ends up in Lord of the Rings. Josh Brolin has been an Oscar nominee and became Thanos, you know, and so I mean his career is kind of unmatched by the rest of them. You know, Corey Feldman.
Do I have this wrong? The one redheaded girl, is she also in Red Dawn? No, she's in Lucas. She's in Lucas with Corey Haim. Yeah, so she did Corey Feldman movie one year and Corey Haim the next year. Corey Haim actually auditioned for Mouth before Corey Feldman even knew him. He didn't get the part. Corey Feldman got the part. Oh.
So brain leakage from my presentation last week. I don't think I brought that fact up, but anyway. But so you got all these kids together, and you also have this remarkable story about Ki-Hai Kwan, who, again, you're in Temple of Doom one year and you're in the Goonies the next. That's, you know, if you do nothing the rest of your life, that's a legacy. You will be remembered forever, especially by the generation that was there when those movies came out. But now he's in this movie that came out this year, this Everything Everywhere All at Once film.
People say he's great.
He might get an Oscar nomination.
It's awesome.
For this, I mean, it's I mean, and he's like 50 years old, and I don't think he's aged a day. It's really quite stunning, actually. But the person who steals the movie is pretty much the person who just about, I don't think, ever acted again, at least not in a film. And that's Jeff Cohen, who plays Chunk in the movie.
Oh.
He steals this movie. He is legitimately great in this movie. Everything he does is really funny. And I just sat there watching it, popcorn just flying. I was just having an absolute ball watching this movie again. There's really clever jokes in there. I mean, the pedigree in this movie is is terrific. There are no real hacks working on this. You got Richard Donner directing it. Spielberg had story idea for it and produced the movie. Chris Columbus is probably the best section of his career. He was just coming off writing Gremlins, and then he wrote this. It's just, I mean, it's a really great screenplay. Everyone in the movie is really terrific. It's really funny. Donner, who throughout the Lethal Weapon movies was always inserting like an issue into his movies, like Lethal Weapon 2
apartheid. Yeah.
Lethal Weapon 3 was gun control.
Yeah.
The 1992, 30 years ago.
1 was suicide and stuff like that. Yeah.
Depression and whatnot. I think there might be something else that I'm missing.
Well, I mean, you know, sex trafficking. I mean,
there's probably plenty of stuff.
There's first one had a lot of issues.
Yeah. And in Lethal Weapon 4 was immigration.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So he always had these issues. But in Goonies, he made a movie later on where he really tackled the issue. But there's, the stuff that goes on with Sloth in the movie, and it's kind of spelled out eventually. But there's a child abuse angle to
Definitely.
it. And it's funny. I went back and when I was preparing, I went back and I watched the Siskel and Ebert. It's really interesting to go back and watch old Siskel and Ebert shows, because every once in a while you can catch one of them saying something that they probably shouldn't be saying nowadays.
Well, yeah. Well, again, what was it like you always say? Like it's commentary on the times, not necessarily. What would you say?
What did I say?
It's like you said it when Morgan was on here. You said it's like a snapshot of the time. It's not. I don't know how to explain it. I'd have to find the quote, but the way you worded it was really well. It was. It's not like they were actively trying to hurt anybody's feelings.
No,
but it's 40-something years ago.
Yeah.
And either A, they just didn't know what the subject was, or B, no one talked about it, so they thought it was okay, I guess.
But also, every once in a while, you catch one of them being an absolute horn dog.
Wow.
That too.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
It just
that still happens, I guess.
It still happens, yes. But when they were describing the movie, which they both gave 2 thumbs up to, by the way, Siskel refers to how much he liked the second half of the movie when the fat kid has this relationship with this monster, and through the eyes of a child, of a kid, that's kind of how it's presented. But then through the course of the movie, we learn more about, the whole reason Sloth throws Mama Fratelli off the ship is because he has like a Rain Man moment, and he remembers that Mama Fratelli dropped him a couple times when he was a kid.
They did nothing but like horribly verbally abused him.
Right.
Yeah, like they're not nice to him ever. Yeah, like
he's chained up, for God's sake.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that's right. I totally forgot he was chained up.
Yeah.
I knew he was down there, but I don't remember being chained up. Okay, yeah. That's even worse. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really awful. So like Donner, I don't know if that was his. I don't think that was his thing, but clearly to sort of make some sort of commentary on that, whether it was his thing or not, is part of Donner's thing. And later on, he would make a movie called Radio Flyer, which I don't think is. I really like to go back and watch that again. I just remember it not being particularly successful, but that was a movie about child abuse.
Oh yeah.
So that was top of mind even back in 1985. Not that this is some major serious movie, but it does go for the heartstrings a little bit at the end when Chunk says, "Hey Sloth, you're gonna live with me now."
Yeah.
It's just, you not expecting that going into a movie about kid treasure hunting and stuff. And I gotta tell you that while I was, it was not the packed house that I was hoping for, but there were a couple of groups, like a couple parents, couple moms who brought a whole bunch of kids, whatnot. And it was funny when I sort of introduced it, as I always do, and asking who had seen the movie, who actually saw this movie in a theater back in 1985, and like a lot of the parents were like this. And I'm like, and now you're taking your kids to see it now, which is awesome. At the end of the movie, as I'm standing down there waiting for the Cyndi Lauper song to end, it was in one of the other theaters. So there was, down in the bottom section, there was a mom and a son and her daughter, young son and daughter, and they were down there. So I went all the way down initially to do my presentation, but they ended up leaving, and they're walking out. And I'm standing right there by the aisle, and the little girl, she probably couldn't have been more than 9, 10 years old tops, and she says to me, sorry we have to leave. She knew I was going to do a presentation afterwards. Sorry we have to leave, but that was one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, wow.
And that was, and I said this to the audience, I said, that was probably the best compliment I've ever heard in any of these screenings we've ever seen. That really got me. That it was just, saw this movie for the first time and thought enough of it to say to this random stranger, introducing that was her way of thank you for showing this movie. It's now one of my favorite movies that I've ever seen. And
you know, the thing is we always talk about on your podcast, like watching stuff at home and the convenience of it and all that kind of good stuff that we, you know, that everything's going to end up being probably in the next 15 years, probably. But there's nothing like seeing a movie in a theater. And especially nowadays, you make a special presentation of it. It's not just a movie. It's a movie and a conversation. On top of it, it's an older movie that now you're lucky if you could probably even find streaming. The 15 things I subscribe to, I probably still can't stream the damn thing.
This is on HBO Max, by the way, just FYI.
The what?
This is on HBO Max.
Oh, it is? Oh,
by the way,
okay.
right now.
I may watch it tonight.
Yeah.
I would have been there, but last week was a nightmare. So I really did want to see it very badly, and it sucked that I didn't go. But she's going to remember that for more than one reason. A, Mom took her.
Yeah.
B, they went to see it at a theater, even though it's an old movie. And the first time you kind of do that, you feel the nostalgia of it. You know, or not in her case, but Mom's case. But her case is like, this is an old movie, but it's at the theater. Like, you know, I remember seeing movies being replayed when I was a kid, or you'd go to the dollar movie in the city. Yeah. When I'd go in the city, you could go to the dollar thing and you'd see like a 20-year-old movie, you know, from the 50s or the 60s. You know, there's something about that. She'll now not only remember it because it's a good movie, but she'll really remember it because of the way she saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's, you know, I love seeing movies with people who have never seen something before. That's why I love asking that question. I just, it you know, and hopefully they like it. Well, which is more often the case than not. But
sure.
You know, sometimes they go like, yeah, it's okay. But there is also something to be said about going to see a movie like that with people who are on the same level of appreciation, and they know how to react in the right spots. They know how to behave, not to put too fine a point on it, but they know when to laugh. They know when to cheer. They know, you know, there's a unison. There's a collective experience about that.
I think the movie also, if it's a really good movie, dictates that.
Sure.
You can definitely be, you know, I think that's funny or whatever, weird, but a good, well-paced, properly written, good, structurally sound movie, you know, we were just talking about Endgame. It's not a great example, but what I'm saying is you work all that way to Cap getting Mjolnir. Every video you see, the whole damn theater blows. It just goes batshit crazy when that happens.
Right.
There's a million movies like that. You know, The Matrix has those. You know, even comedies. You know, you get that comedy hit, you know, or whatever that really makes the whole theater, you know, laugh.
Yes.
Well-made movies will do that. You know, I don't even think you need to be sort of like have a parent who knows when that's coming, you know. Right. It's going to hit anyway because it's a good movie.
Right. Yeah, and we just happen to have that, you know. I mean, we have good probably about 2/3 of the audience stayed afterwards, and a lot of the kids and whatnot, and yeah, making my comments as PG as possible.
Wow.
I suppose there's I didn't mention the fact that the guy in the movie, if you remember, there's like the asshole jock in the movie that's
seriously, it's probably been 30.
time.
It's probably been 30 years.
Okay. Well, there's the.
That's why I'm really
jock.
mad at myself. I couldn't. I just couldn't mentally do it. But I really wanted to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been probably 30 years.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there's an asshole jock in the movie that is hanging around the Cary Green character and is, he's the competition. Brolin really likes her. She likes him, but he's the guy that's in the way. Okay. But that actor is the same actor from The Last American Virgin. Do you remember that movie?
I want to say I probably saw it on cable back in the day, but for some reason I don't remember any of the actors.
Well, it just seemed like a good portion of his career, at least up between the Goonies in the mid '80s and whatnot.
He's the bully. He's always the bully.
Not just the bully, but he's like the guy. He's always the guy that is in the way of the right guy getting the girl. And that's who he played in Last American Virgin.
That's great.
That's who he played in Goonies. And how about this? He's Jesse in the Jesse's Girl video.
Stop it.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. And, and he was 27 at the time that they filmed the movie. And yeah.
And he's in 8th grade in the movie.
He's in high school. He's in high school in the movie, and he's looking down Cary Green's skirt.
Of course.
In the rearview mirror, there's a shot of the skirt, and she's 17. Anyway, but he directed the movie Burlesque with Cher and Christina Aguilera.
I didn't even know there was a movie.
Oh, you're a better man for it. Yeah, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Well, there you go.
But he directed that, and is actually gay now. Not gay now.
He came out.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, a little bit of trivia.
Mm-hmm.
I know I sent you because you're not a big Bob's Burgers guy.
I'm behind.
Did you ever watch it?
I've seen episodes recommended to me. I haven't been watching in order. I saw the movie first. Not the way to do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss all the fun references and all that stuff.
But not even that. It's just it felt like they were at they're in like Simpsons territory. The Simpsons movie is actually very good, but where they're it's sort of like at the back end of their creativity and whatnot. So you're not getting the show at its peak.
Okay.
And so they do the movie on that kind of thing, and then stretch it to 100 minutes long.
Sure.
Okay, where the TV show is 22-minute episodes. I immediately was talking. It was Morgan actually, and she said you have to go watch this episode.
Which one did she tell you to watch?
It was it the Die Hard episode?
The Thomas Edison School Science Project one is fantastic.
It was the one where there was competing. It was competing shows, school shows. There was a bully that wanted to do one show, and the son or the daughter.
Son. Yeah, they did Die Hard the musical.
It was Die Hard the musical.
I think it was Die Hard the musical. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, she had me watch that, and I watched that. I'm like, that was funny.
Yeah. I immediately said, you're doing Goonies, and when
the Goonies one.
When I knew, unfortunately, I wasn't going, I'm like, oh, I can't tell you when you're there, so I figured in case you wanted another bit of trivia, but they do a fantastic Goonies ripoff. In 22 minutes, they pull it off, and they hit it so hard. It's an old taffy factory that may have gold in it. And they get everything's blown up and this and that. It turns out it's on a mountainside that looks like a butt.
Yeah.
And so it's a taffy factory that is on a mountainside with the side of it that looks like a butt. And they get Cyndi Lauper to do a parody song of the Goonies theme called Taffy Butt. And it's
the Taffy Butt song is great.
They actually get her to sing the song. I'm assuming she's part writer. It's probably in the credits, but the Taffy Butt. It's great. The episode's hilarious, but also they got Cyndi Lauper, so I thought that was pretty funny. I sent you that, but I have distinct memories too of the movie, obviously. But it's not a fantastic game. But the Goonies 2, the unofficial sequel to Goonies, had an NES game for the original Nintendo.
Yes. Right.
And I have distinct memories of renting that and playing it numerous times. And they had that great 8-bit the version of the song that would play as you played the game. And I to this day, I have those mental pictures in my head of some of the screens, some of the rooms and stuff you go in. And
I have to check, and it would be right in this cabinet right here if it does exist. I wonder if I have a Goonies Apple II game.
There is, I believe, an Apple II version. It's a different one, though, than...
I can look that up right now. Actually.
Commodore 64, definitely.
Okay.
Let's see. You might. I don't know.
It should be easy to find because I still have these in alphabetical order.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
You're not?
No, it doesn't mean you didn't have it, but it was on. It was Commodore 64 definitely had one, but nice Data Soft. Look at that.
Look at that.
That's fantastic. I'm trying to zoom this picture and yeah, that's the Konami Nintendo one, the regular one. But yeah, I remember playing Goonies 2, not 1.
Yeah.
2, the unofficial sequel.
We could do a whole show just on these floppy disks that I got in here.
Yeah.
Just holding them up and going like, look at this.
Look at this. Yeah, that's good. I missed out. I really did. Not only am I apologizing, but I'm kicking myself that I didn't show because I haven't been there in a while. But more importantly, no offense, I really wanted to see it. Yeah. So I'm more mad at myself because I didn't go and just forced myself to go.
Well,
But
put it on HBO Max because it'll make you smile.
When did that 4K come out?
Not too long. It came last year, I think, and it's good.
Yeah,
it's a good looking 4K, real sharp. Real sharp. Yeah. That one, you might want to give me a ding on that one because they sent me that one.
You did get that one?
Yeah.
Technically? Well,
ding
you're promoting the movie, kind of. So.
Kind of, yeah. Well, I just said the 4K was great, so.
Yeah. Don't want to get in trouble for that 2 seconds. Someone might hear it. And yeah.
Yeah, in this hellscape of no laws, except you, of course.
Everyone else seems to be able to do whatever the hell they want.
Yes.
But I can't. You can't talk about that movie without me getting my whole channel shut down, I'm sure.
That's right.
Going from something that is fairly universally liked, I would say, to I will call this my sequel to a bad take.
Oh.
I like trash TV on occasion.
Yeah.
I still do not watch a lot of television.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm off cable, I don't watch anything practically live, so I'm streaming anything I really want to watch.
Right.
But a couple weeks ago, I talked about how I had this fascination with the real world.
Yes, right.
The birth of all reality television.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember watching that first episode. Well, it's trash. I know it's trash. First couple seasons, they had some poignant moments to kind of teaching people a little bit. It was more documentary than, Jersey Shore became. But there's another thing they did called Road Rules, where it was more like a competition show. They'd shove 6 or 8 people in an RV, and they'd make them go do these challenges and stuff. And what that ended up leading to is something called the Real World Road Rules Challenge. And it was more like, because Lost became extremely popular, or not Lost. It's the one where they shove them on an island. Survivor.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Survivor. It became super popular. I think Survivor came first. But anyway, they knew what they were doing, and they got all their pseudo-stars from their reality shows to compete one show against the other. Kind of like Battle of the Network stars when we were kids, which is another thing I loved. I could not wait. They could never do that today. A, the insurance would be ungodly. They would never let their stars do that stuff. But B, all 3 networks to agree to publish now 4 networks to agree to compete, and only one station get to air it. I'm assuming it would rotate every year.
Yeah.
It was ABC Sports because Howard Cosell would do those first couple. But anyway, it was very similar to that.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I don't, Survivor, I watched the first couple seasons, never watched it again. I think because it became the stunts or the things they made them do weren't exciting enough. They were on an island, and they didn't really go off that island, and it was stuff they did around there that they could make out of whatever, coconuts or whatever they could find. In this case, the things they make these people do, and now it's just called The Challenge. It's been going, it's on like season 37 or something ridiculous. They've now done ones called pros versus stars or something, and they had like real athletes like from the Olympics and stuff compete against the people who are exceptionally good at the game, who happen to also be athletic.
Yeah.
They take like kind of the best of the best from the challenge show and put them against like not Usain Bolt, but like Olympic stars and also like TV stars who are fit and stuff like that. They did a couple seasons of that. Paramount Plus has been doing something called the Challenge All-Stars. They've gotten all the older guys like me and you. One of the guys is 50, but he's built like a brick shithouse. The guy looks like a WWE wrestler, but he's like 50. And I think he just won this last one. No, he didn't. He lost on the last thing. Anyway, but he's still around. He's fit, Now CBS, the regular CBS TV station, has the Challenge. I think they call it Challenge America on CBS. But they have made it international. They have what I haven't seen. They don't have a bracket or anything up yet, but I guess they're doing this in other countries, and it's going to end up being where then they all compete for like a worldwide challenge thing later. I don't know how they're doing it. All I've seen is the American one. I saw the first episode. It's on Paramount Plus along with the Challenge All-Stars. Look, I know what I'm watching. I know what I'm watching. I'm not proud of myself. I don't hold this in high esteem. This is not high art. I get it. But it's fun. And man, it is. This is not Survivor. Like, oh, there's a balance beam and you got to lug a couple bricks from one end to the other. They jumped 40 feet out of a moving helicopter on this last All-Stars. 40 feet. Then swam like 3/4 of a mile to a puzzle and then had to mentally remember something they saw at the beginning of this thing and put a puzzle together based on the thing they do after they jumped out of a moving helicopter and swam 3/4 of a mile. Like, people have died in helicopter stunt accidents on movies and stuff.
Yeah.
This is the kind of crap they do. One of them was, a couple years ago they did it. It was water-based, and every so many feet, it got deeper and deeper and deeper. There were basically upside-down fish tanks that had air pumped into them. So they were like, respites as you're swimming. But they got, if I remember correctly, they got deeper and deeper and deeper. And on the last one, it had a key attached. By the time you're done, I want to say, and I could be wrong, I'd have to rewatch it, it's a good 20 or 30 feet underwater. And you go and you get to the first fish tank, and that's a distance. So you're swimming underwater the whole time. You get to the fish tank. Again, this thing is timed. You want to get the fastest time. And then you're going to the next fish tank, then the next fish tank, just to get to the key. And then you swim up as fast as you can. You unlock a thing or whatever, and then they calculate your time, and you're doing it. They have guys with scuba gear on and stuff down there. If you call out or like, hey, I'm going to drown, they're going to make sure you're okay. But you're still doing that. You don't have, like, this is the kind of crap they do. They're hanging off the sides of skyscrapers on ripcords, like stuntman ripcords.
Yeah.
So it's something about that these stunts, whatever you want to, challenges they call them, but they're like stunts basically, like movie stunts, all based around them. Like, one of them is just a trivia. Could you remember the last 30 seasons? Who lost on the 5th season of such and such? And if they don't know, TJ hits a button and they fall 20 stories off the side of a building. Like, there's just something about it. And the CBS one just started, so of course now I watch that one. It's ridiculous. And again, I'm not proud of myself. But I love it. I love it. I don't know why.
Makes you happy.
It does. It just makes me happy.
That's fine.
Of course, there's drama. Everyone's sleeping with everybody. Everyone's arguing with everybody. People get into fist fights, get thrown off the show. You know, it's stupid.
Yeah.
The best part is other shows want to like fake it, right? Like, we're not doing anything to try to get drama in this house. It's just what's going on Survivor.
Sure.
You know, this kind of thing. After every challenge, you know, these people live in these mansions in the challenge. They have these beautiful, the one was a converted bomb shelter, but they made it like one whole room was a giant workout facility, and they got like pools and stuff they built in it. And one of them was like a mansion in Costa Rica that had like 27 bedrooms. Or like, they're not living in squalor. Like, this is some of the most amazing places you've ever been, right?
Yeah.
But after every challenge, it's like, okay, you won the challenge, and you're head of the household, you know, thing, and you're gonna have to make a decision to throw someone in the pit. 2 men enter, 1 man leave tomorrow. You know, like, okay, cool. What are they gonna do? They're gonna hall brawl and smash into each other or whatever, right? The night after that challenge, who determines the winner, they send them out to bars. They all get dressed up, so they're all in their little, you know, cool outfits or sleek dresses, you know, showing the legs off or whatever. They immediately send them to a bar to get them all hammered. You know what's going to happen. The second they get back, people are screaming, throwing things, you know, punching each other.
Right.
They don't hide it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched any of the challenge stuff?
No. No.
Can I get you to watch one?
I don't know. I'm still working on you trying to get me to do video games. You know, I mean, I let one thing at a time. You know, I watch plenty of TV. I watch plenty of movies. I'm trying to find time to do the video game stuff. I'm doing 72 podcasts, and so just like, you know, priorities.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
so, hey, it makes you happy.
It does.
So right, just as long as you don't tell me that that's better than Goonies, because then we have a fight.
Right. No.
That's how it works.
I would never do that.
Right, okay. Because you know better, Adam Johnston. Anyway, so on me?
Yeah, number 3.
Okay. This one's going to be a little bittersweet, actually, because we just I had this down because when we were going to do the show last week. I think it was last Wednesday. We had just lost James Caan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love James Caan because he's one of those guys. He's one of those actors doing it for countless decades. Okay, been working since the 1960s at the least 1960s. So was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
50 years.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Crazy.
60.
Yeah,
depending on the year. 55.
Right. At least 50 plus years in movies, and in a lot of classic ones, some of which I'll mention. But the reason why I love James Caan was because he was in that very rare intersection where he could be both a movie star and a character actor. Mm-hmm. You know, he was just one of those guys that you could put him at the front and center of your movie, and he could be he's your anchor. He's your guy. Or you can have him in a supporting role, and he's going to bring it in that respect too. And you know, people think James Caan, they think tough guy. There are a lot of people will obviously look at The Godfather, segue, okay? And they think of that character. They think of that hothead character that he played, and that tough guy thing followed him around. And people were sharing. I think they've been sharing him for years, obviously, but a lot of them were sharing him last week after he passed, doing these interviews with like Playboy magazine and stuff. And if you probably saw some of them last week. They're fantastic because he was a ball buster with that gleam in his eye, you know, that he could be the like the scariest guy in the room or the funniest guy in the room. And that's probably why he's perfect for The Godfather. They say in Goodfellas, they say your killers come at you with smiles, you know. And then there were so many stories that were being told, and He reminded me, not that he reminded me, but he was in that very rich small class of actors. Another guy I put in that same category is Roy Scheider, who I
Okay.
also love. That
Yeah.
he was not your sort of typical leading man movie star presence, but if you put him at the top of your movie or close to the top of your movie, you know you're getting something great and something that most movie stars of a certain age or whatever, or caliber, or however you want to call it, would give you. I mean, there's always something to me very Humphrey Bogart about Roy Scheider. Not sort of typical looking leading men, but Jaws notwithstanding, and French Connection, and Sorcerer, for God's sakes. And James Caan had that same appeal, and people remember for The Godfather, but I was so happy to see so many people sharing remembrances of Misery.
Well, I mean, come on. Yeah, that's great.
Right, but again, Misery is one of those. I mean, it's mostly a two-hander movie, is the way the story was written. But Kathy Bates won the Oscar. She's sort of
true.
Was the one that sort of catapulted. No one really, she was a stage actress. No one really knew who Kathy Bates was in film. She comes in, nails this role, wins the Oscar, and James Caan has to give a very low-key, subtle performance in that movie. He has to do like everything to not piss her off, basically, and to placate her in different ways. And you see the way that he was tough. He had to hide his toughness a little bit. He was playing a writer in that movie, but that there was always this sort of gleam in his eye, in the way that he slyly flirted with her sometimes and tried to make her happy, even though it was not making him happy. And just going back over his career, I mean, yeah.
Well, that's what I was pulling up while you were talking. Not that I wasn't listening, because I was,
Sure.
But so again, I'm gonna miss some, but these are just the ones that I'm pulling off the list.
Yeah.
Here, listen, hold on. Bottle Rocket became fairly famous. Blood Ties. The Program, Godfather, all the Godfather movies he was in. Funny Lady, Bridge Too Far.
Mm-hmm.
Honeymoon in Vegas, people may like. I happen to like it.
Great. He's great in Honeymoon in Vegas, because that's a movie I wish more people were talking about, because other than the ending of the movie, which I think they botch a little bit, but the key thing about Honeymoon in Vegas is that he's playing the tough guy, the tough Vegas guy in that movie, the rich Vegas guy and the gangster kind of thing. But when it gets to the point where he has to be with Sarah Jessica Parker, he now has to turn and show this sensitive side of himself.
Oh, yeah.
So there's actually this period of the movie where you kind of go like, maybe she'd be better off with James Caan than she would be with Nicolas Cage. Until at the very end, where all of a sudden he turns into, no, you're going to be with me. And he kind of, shows you're not leaving me kind of thing. I'm like, I wish that wasn't in there. I wish that they'd at least kept the ambiguity, of the character a little bit more, that he was a gangster, but he was a romantic at the same time. And at the end, he's just kind of a tough guy, I don't know what word I'm looking for. Toxic, I suppose. But Honeymoon in Vegas is great.
Alien Nation, I happen to like that movie.
It's a goofy, fun little movie.
Hey, I mean, come on, Brian's song.
Yeah, I mean, right.
Yeah. Rollerball.
Rollerball's great.
Yeah. Thief.
Thief, movie we played at the Chicago Critics Film Festival.
We've already mentioned Misery.
Mm-hmm.
Elf. Yeah,
I mean, again, a whole nother generation discovers who James Caan is through that movie.
No. Again, I'm sure I'm missing some that you would say I probably am passing over. But one of the movies I distinctly remember him in is an older one that people probably think is trash, but for whatever reason I have a distinct memory of it and a good fondness for it. But again, I haven't seen this probably in 30 years. Was Kiss Me Goodbye with Sally Field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I happen to like that. That was a cable staple.
Oh, yeah.
At the time. And again, you want to speak to someone who's just, again, and it's very honeymoon in Vegas too, because he's sort of the lovable rogue. He's kind of a rascal in the movie. And then, it's like, maybe, she should end up with a ghost instead of Jeff Bridges. but then basically then they pull this bait and switch on him at the end of the movie, just like, yeah, he slept with everybody. He cheated on Sally Field left and right. And, but there's forgiveness. But yeah, no, I have a soft spot for that movie too.
Yeah. And again, I mean, there's silly ones in there like Bulletproof and Get Smart and Undercover Grandpa.
No.
Yeah,
no.
I know. I mean, there's silly ones in there, but I mean, even if you take those other 10, that's my boy. Even if you take, the 10 of the other ones, you got 10 of some of the most solid movies ever. Yeah. Misery. I mean, again, Elf is more of a comedy, but Elf.
Yeah.
All three Godfathers. Rollerball, Brian's Song. I would put Honeymoon in Vegas in there. It was very popular and people loved it. Funny Lady. That's what 8, 7 right there.
Yeah.
And again, I haven't even hit the bottom of this filmography. No. I mean, it's a loss. I mean,
the one you haven't mentioned actually that I think would go in the top 10. He's only in one of the Godfathers, by the way.
Why do they list him in all three then?
Well, I think in
2 there would be a flashback.
Godfather 2 there's a flashback.
Yeah.
Godfather 2
3 they don't.
Flashback. I don't remember there unless there's some like old footage from the Godfather. I'd have to go back and watch Godfather 3 again.
I haven't seen that.
If there was maybe it's IMDb does that sometimes if he shows up in the movie, even if he's not in the movie, they credit him for it. But he doesn't make it out of the first Godfather movie. Yeah. Anyway, spoiler.
Well,
but The Gambler, the 1974 film The Gambler, which was remade a few years ago with Mark Wahlberg and Brie Larson, which isn't bad either. There's actually some really good stuff in that movie, but the 1974 movie The Gambler is really one of like the great stories of like self-destruction, and like, I mean, it's all in the title for it's that's what he is. It's like it's just it's an incredible movie. It's an incredible performance, and he's gonna be missed. And we didn't even mention, you want to talk about, I can watch trash TV too, and I watched it with a purpose. Las Vegas on NBC. He was for 4 seasons on the show Las Vegas. James Caan cashed in probably a pretty nice check, and you could tell him watching the show that he knew that it was kind of nonsense what he was doing, but he still, again, he kind of always let you know that he knew that he was in on the joke of it a bit, and not that he didn't bring it as a character. He's playing a Vegas casino hotel manager. And it was always fun seeing him in the show. So
you knew you were probably in for something good if you saw James Caan pop up, period.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Bottle Rocket earlier. He only shows up for a very small portion of that movie, but especially if he shows up for a very small portion of the movie, like, oh shit, you kind of have to stand back a little bit, or you're going to get something really funny.
Right.
Again, I mentioned Drew McWeeny earlier about Mad Max Fury Road. He shared this story on Twitter. I think it was during the That's My Boy junket, actually, I guess when he was doing junkets. And he said that he used to bring his kids with him to junkets, and they'd have to like go off in the other room while he did the interviews and stuff like that. And so he was interviewing, I guess, Sandler and Sandberg in one room, and his kids were in the other room, started getting just louder and louder and louder and louder. And he thought, like, maybe this is the time that I finally have to discipline them for being bad at one of these things. And it just kept happening. He kept trying to do the interview, and he'd hear the kids on the tape because they kept getting louder and louder and louder. And he finally went in there, like, all ready to raise hell. And the kids are in there with James Caan, and James Caan was putting them up to it.
That's great.
Telling them to be loud and disturb everything. And that was how I guess he met James Caan. So
that's fantastic.
Again, you see those interviews, you see the kind of guy he was. He was a no bullshit kind of guy and a tremendous actor, and yeah, he's going to be missed. But again, whether you do 2 movies or 60, he's left a legacy, and it's something that we all get to enjoy for the rest of our days.
Your favorite James Caan performance?
Ooh, maybe The Gambler. Maybe The Gambler might be my favorite James Caan. I mean, Godfather is pretty, I mean, it's hard to discount that, but if I'm talking about a lead performance, I'd probably go with The Gambler. And then Thief is really good too. Really good. Yeah, I'd say those 2. If you're gonna do a James Caan, we'll do a trilogy. We'll do a James Caan starring James Caan trifecta. You do The Gambler, you do Thief, and you do Misery. Right there. You're in for a good night.
I mean, and there's not, well, again, that's probably top 3 out of that group.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting a stinker anyway.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Another great actor. There was another 3, right?
It was like
last
18
week.
Last weekend.
Yeah.
Actually, it was just everyone. LQ Jones passed away, who did a lot of stuff with Sam Peckinpah.
The score guy? No.
Which guy?
LQ Jones. What did he do?
Well, he did a lot of movies with Sam Peckinpah. He did a lot of westerns. He's in Casino. He's in Time Rider, The Legend of Lyle Swan.
Who's the guy? Oh, the James Bond guy just passed away. The
composer
for James Bond, the famous James Bond theme. He just passed away.
Note,
yeah. I probably shouldn't even do that. I'm probably get demonetized.
No, you're sued now. Yep. Yeah, he just passed away. There was a lot of people, a lot of names went last weekend. Last week. Yeah. No good.
No. Well, go watch a James Caan movie. Take your pick.
Yes.
You want to laugh? There's top 3 there. Elf. Yeah.
Honeymoon in Vegas.
Honeymoon in Vegas. Well, I'm sure if you look, you'll find a 3rd one you like in there.
Alien Nation.
That's a comedy.
It kind of is.
I like that movie.
Well, he is. I mean, the relationship between him and Mandy Patinkin.
It's funny.
Is amusing.
It's cute. It's fun. Mm-hmm. Only, well, technically, Rollerball was kind of sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, it's set in the future. It's more of a sports movie, I suppose, but it's like, dystopian future.
No more war, but there will be Rollerball. Yeah. Right. The reason I said sci-fi, but I was trying to think, Alien Nation probably would have been the only one. Is my 3rd thing is I'm not promoting Amazon.
Okay.
Although it does involve Amazon in this particular case. I'm more promoting what they're giving you, because it is, as far as video games go, there's certain sci-fi video games over the past, since video games began, that when you say them, people go, oh, that's a good one. But space opera Star Wars stuff was never able to be done to the grandeur that, movies had been doing all these years. Your Star Treks, your Star Wars, your whatever, name them, 2001s. EA had, Electronic Arts, had an initiative, I want to say probably close to 20 years ago now, where they spent a whole bunch of money and made a whole ton of new intellectual properties. Like, they're not just going to put out Madden and this, that, and the other this year. We're going to try to put out a couple all new games. And I believe one of those during that initiative was this thing called Mass Effect.
Uh-huh.
It is interactive Star Wars. You are playing a space adventure pirate captain of a ship. You are leading your own enterprise kind of thing. But the beauty of this role-playing game is your decisions mattered. Not just for the first game. EA basically told you, if we ever make sequels, the decisions you make in the first game will affect the second one. the ones you made in 1 and 2 will affect your decisions and what you can see in 3. In the first game, you know how you have these movies, where you like gotta like Guardians, you gather your stray people throughout your adventure, and you kind of bring them into your band of idiots or whatever, and we're gonna go do something powerful. They're all different alien creatures with all different motives and backstories and origins and all these things. And one of the characters, I won't spoil who, is kind of aggressive, and he kind of has a reason to be. He's not a happy camper. And at one point in the story, he's going to go run off and do something that would jeopardize your entire mission. You have the opportunity to talk this person down. If you've invested enough of your points or your experience that you've played throughout the game in your talking ability, or the choices that you make of the options as you're having these conversations, to talk this person down. If you haven't, or you don't choose the right things to say, he goes batshit crazy. Like, he's going to go cause a problem. At that point, you have the option to kill that person. If you kill that character at that point in the first game, he doesn't show up in 2 or 3 when you play him. It uses your old save from 1 to go into 2. Takes him from 2, where you visit that person you killed, that alien race. You go to their planet. I believe it's their planet. When you're on that planet, instead of the guy that you had that could have been on your team, there's another person in that seat with all different dialogue who doesn't know you, and he has his own motivations and his own things when you go to talk to that person on that home planet. Okay. And when by the time you get to 3, he's not even in your party, and you can't talk to him at all. And you're talking like 8 years later when that game came out. It's this big, grand role-playing experience. Visuals got better over time. The story, one, a little bit clunky mechanics-wise. People said it was a little slow in places, and but the story was interesting. It's basically you start out, you're on a little adventure, and you come into physical contact with an artifact, and it puts visions in your head. You still feel normal. You're not acting weird, but you get this premonition that basically the end of the universe is coming. And so you talk to the space government, and you go, I have this knowledge, I think, and some people think you're crazy. Some people think you're okay. Some people go, I know maybe what you're talking about. And you get upgraded to this thing called a Spectre, like an international adventure SWAT team / you're going to help out the universe thing. They give you a ship and a crew. You have a captain's quarters you can decorate. There are people on the ship you become friends with, and as you talk to them and speak to them, they do things. They're upgrades for what they can do for you. As you meet new people, you can invite them to become part of your team. And it's all about this precursor race that built these Mass Effect drives, where your ship, instead of Star Trek, you go to warp, or, like that. You fly your ship next to these giant space antennas, basically. And as you fly past them, it accelerates your ship and boom, shoots you to reaches way on the other side of the universe. And you can hop around using these things to different planets. Turns out they built them, and there's this happening and that happening and all these crazy things. The visuals are fantastic. The storytelling is fantastic. The scope of it is amazing and interesting, especially if you're a Star Wars / Star Trek / sci-fi space opera kind of person. And there's 3 games you can play through. And each one, if you go and do all the side quests and do all the quests for your buddies to make them more of your friends, or you want to romance them and that kind of stuff, you're probably talking 40, 50 hours a piece. I mean, if you're really doing everything. And they were made years ago. So recently what they did is they put out a remastered edition where they upgraded all the visuals, 4K, 60 frames a second. I mean, it just looks amazing. And if you've never played them before, this would be the way to do it. I mean, it just looks fantastic on these new machines or on the PC.
Yeah.
So this is where I was going with that, is if you are an Amazon Prime member right now, you can go to their website, and if you click the gaming section, they're giving away something like 22 PC games just for free because you're a Prime member, and during Prime days, here's some free games. Go enjoy them.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of the bigger named ones are from Electronic Arts. So they have Grid Legends, which is a racing game that looks pretty fun and great, and Sergio might like that. And then I can't remember what the other one is, but the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is all 3 games upgraded to be even better looking and play smoother. They've smoothed out some of the edges, made everything really gel. And you can play through all 3 in a row. You don't have to wait 3 years like I did to go from game to game, or like we had to wait for Star Wars. You got potentially 150 hours of space opera RPG goodness. And it's not just talkie-talkie. There's a lot of Dewey, and I'm stealing that from another podcast. They like their Dewey games. But this is, when you go to a planet, you are exploring the planet. And when the bad guys come, as a Spectre, you learn your crew has other powers and stuff too. But like, it's sort of like a force push, or you can lift the person up in the air. You pick at the beginning of the game what kind of person you're going to be and your potential. Are you a soldier? You're going to have way more gun attributes, way more grenade attributes, way more speed and health and durability. But then you can also sort of be like a Jedi. So you can like force push people off things or knock them out of cover. Lots of cover. You can lift them up in the air and then have one of you tell your other crewmates, you can hit a button and flip through your crewmates and go, while you put them up in the air, it slows down time for a second. You then tell your other guy to hit them with their force push. So you throw them up in the air, and while you hold them in the air, you tell them to do that. You hit them. Well, now they're in the air. They're not just grounded. You launch them off of a cliff, or if they have shields, there are guys that do extra electric damage, so they'll take the shield down. So then you can pump them full of grenades or bullets. And so certain people need certain kind of skills and strategy to it as you're moving through these environments.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. I know you've never played it. 150 hours is a lot of an investment time for you. But for people who are looking just for a super interesting game, you should go and get it. I've never talked about Mass Effect. But if I'm saying it today, because you can literally get it for free. One of the best games ever, and it's a trilogy, and it's the cool upgraded 4K 60 frames edition version for free on Amazon Prime Day. So if you're an Amazon Prime member, even if you don't know if you're gonna play it, go to Amazon Prime, go to the gaming section, or type Amazon Gaming free games 2022 Prime Day, whatever. It'll take you to the site. You'll have to log in with your Amazon Prime account information, so be careful, but make sure the link you're hitting is the right one. Once you get there, there's like 25 games. One of them is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Do yourself a favor and just hit download. Once you claim it, there's a little button that says claim. Once you claim it, it is now on your Amazon account. You can always then go and actually they make you link to your what they call the EA Origin account. So you may have to make an EA account on the EA.com website also so you can link them. But then once you own it, it's on your EA account. And then you can download it 2 years from now, hopefully, or 5 years or whatever, tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now. But have you ever even heard of Mass Effect?
Oh, I know the game.
Yeah?
I know the game. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I may have even played it at some point. I just don't. I couldn't, if you put it in front of me, I couldn't name it on a game show. But I know the game. Yeah, I'm very familiar with the game itself. People, I mean,
even if you just looked up internet, like some of the characters, people just love these characters. Mm-hmm. You are Shepard. That's his name. You can be male or female, and you can romance either male or female characters. It's incredibly open, and you can do whatever pleases you, whatever yums you like. And but there's a particular character named Garrus who you pull. He's a security officer on this place. You can make him one of your crewmates and keep him through all 3 games. And he's an alien. He's clearly an alien. He doesn't look human at all. People love him. All kinds of men, women, whatever. They're like, oh, I want to be Garrus's, partner, spouse, whatever. There's a great girl. It's she's like a Jedi-ish. She doesn't have a lot of gun powers, but she's very Jedi-y.
Okay.
Tons of tats, short hair, scars, and stuff. And people ship her a lot. They're like, oh, I really like her. She's in there. The girl. what was the show? Not the Geek Squad show.
Mutant X.
No, the where he got a job, but he was like the Intersect. He had the thing in his head. He's an idiot,
Chuck.
but what? Chuck. What was her name?
Yvonne Strahovski.
She plays the main female character in the second Mass Effect game.
Yes, that I remember that. I remember seeing footage of that.
If you romance the one character who I chose to romance in the first one, she's not really around in the second one. She shows up in the DLC.
Okay.
But if she's not around. So if you choose, you don't have to romance anybody, but if you choose to, well, if Yvonne Strahovski's there, she's showing interest, and I chose to engage. So I'm like, hey, I'll romance you. You kind of say your nice things back and forth, whatever.
Yeah.
When you show up in the DLC, if you would romance the first, any of the characters, frankly, but if you then romance her, and then in this case, I saw the girl in the DLC that I had romanced in the first game, Yvonne Strahovski makes comments, and that character's like, oh, I see you moved on. Like, stuff like that. Like, they'll know the things you did in the first game, and they'll remember the choices. It's creepy, but awesome. But, like, it saves every little decision you make.
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
But it's neat for storytelling because you can literally, in the first game, chop out an entire character that someone else romanced and kept through all 3 games. They're completely gone in your game. Like, you could go, oh, I talked to her in 3 or whatever, and they'd be like, what? Yeah. What do you mean she was in 3? I killed her in the first one, or did this, or she got killed, or something happened, of choices I made. You're talking 8 years later. People are having experiences in the game that you never got to have. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting. It's really... again, if you really want to get all of it, you're talking 150 hours. But even if you just play the first one, just to kind of get the groove of it, I'm telling you, you'll be hooked. And by the time you dig into that second one, the second one starts off with a catastrophe, and things really change, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is crazy. And it becomes even a grander universal threat, blah, blah, blah. You're going to really want to play 2 and 3 then, I think, once you complete the first one. So,
okay.
And it's free right now. Why not?
Yeah.
Literally takes 2 seconds to hit a button, say claim, and attach it to your EA Origin account. Like,
and where there's Amazon Prime.
What you might have to do is, like, if you're doing a search, you might have to do Amazon Prime Day games, game giveaway, or free games 2022. And it should give you a link right to the gaming thing, and it'll have like a little thing with, like album covers. It'll have, like 20 of them on the screen.
Okay.
But yeah, if not, I'm going to put a link. I happen to be off work tomorrow. This is going up immediately tomorrow. So I think Amazon Prime days still are good till tomorrow. But again,
I don't know. It actually ends in 3 hours.
Oh, really? Well, here, you have 3 hours if you're listening to this live. Go download it. But if not, you can catch it on sales. You can find it on... but Mass Effect is such a good game. Or series of games, 3. They made a 4th one called Andromeda, which takes place after the first 3, and it's a different crew and a kind of a new situation. Yeah. I happen to like it once they fix all the horrible bugs that it had.
Right.
I still enjoyed it. People crap on it, but if you like the 3 Mass Effects and you like the powers and the shooting and the Jedi kind of stuff and the space out. You'll still dig it for what it's worth. It may not be as good as the first 3, but there is a 4th one out there. But just get that legendary edition of the first 3. It's totally worth it. Even if you're paying full price and paying $60, 150 hours of space opera storytelling. It's probably one of the finest sci-fi games ever made. So,
okay,
there you go.
Mass Effect.
Yeah. Technically, I pay for Amazon. They're not telling me, and I'm not getting anything for free that I don't pay for. So I don't think I need to hit. Well, I hit promo for you, so it's already going to say it.
Right, exactly. Okay, what am I looking forward to?
Yeah.
Nope. I'm looking forward to Nope, Jordan Peele's new movie. Opens next week, July 22nd. I hope. I mean, they've done a really great job promoting this thing. They've been letting more footage out more recently, letting you know exactly things that are going on during the movie. We assume that for so many months that has been kept under wraps, but we know that there are aliens involved, or at least spaceships of some sort. What they're up to, that is still a mystery. So we don't know entirely what the deal is with it, but Jordan Peele came out, comedian, came out, started doing horror movies, Get Out, took everyone by storm. He wins an Oscar for that. Does his follow-up, Us, which I think is way better than Get Out, even. Us, I think, is an extraordinary horror movie that also had a fantastic social conscience about it and was about something. I think it's one of the best horror movies of the last decade. So he's 2 for 2. Get Out's a solid movie, and Us is an extraordinary movie. So if Nope is somewhere in between, then that's going to make me happy. Doesn't have to be as good as Us, as long as it's good. So I'm looking forward to it.
We saw the preview again the other day. I can't remember what we were watching, but it came up again. We're streaming stuff, so there's ads every 5 minutes. But even if you didn't know about the first 2 movies, and it's not a trilogy or anything, it's just his first 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're different. Yeah. And this preview, though, this trailer, however, immediately hits you with the different. It's a very weird trailer.
Yes.
Yeah, it is not something you go, oh, that looks. You more gonna look at it and go, what the hell's going on?
Right.
Yeah, That's
precisely what you want out of an alien invasion movie, or
what
Jordan
appears
Peele's
to be an alien. Yeah.
And Jordan Peele is clearly he's a cinephile, so I can only imagine what kind of Close Encounters references are in the movie, and all of these great science fiction movies that have influenced him in some way. And I mean, it appears to be a sci-fi horror movie. That's the vibe that the trailer ultimately gives off. But again, we don't know what they're there for, if they're even malevolent. We don't know entirely for sure, but it looks you got me hooked, so I can't wait to see it.
This trailer has me more interested. The other 2 movies, I think the trailers were interesting, but I this trailer, because of its weirdness, has me more interested in this from the get-go. Like, this is definitely one I'd like to see.
You've seen the other 2 movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, this particular trailer, though, got me right away. Again, the weirdness of it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean silly weird. I don't mean like goofy.
No.
I mean like it's really strange. You're like, what in the hell is going on in this?
Yeah.
Which I mean, I guess you got a little bit of that. Got a little bit of that vibe with the other ones, but it's not nearly as weird. This trailer is straight up weird.
Us kind of held its secrets a little close to its vest. Because I generally try to avoid trailers as much as possible now, except when I go to the movies or there's something I'm really looking forward to, like Nope. So like Us, I don't even remember too much about the trailer. And when there was opening night of South by Southwest, which is where I saw it, and that movie just knocked me on my ass. I thought it was amazing. Great old school horror movie, but again with a weird, this crazy social message behind it that is was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think Us is way better than Get Out, and I like Get Out. But yeah, if Nope is Get Out quality, I'll be fine.
Well, yeah, you're already starting out pretty high, so that's
Yeah.
Um, again, mine's not nearly as highbrow. I wish it was. But in this case, Sergio doesn't appear to be in here right now, but I'm definitely going to be messaging Sergio. There is a great racing game called Forza Horizon.
Okay.
And Sergio has expressed his F1 racing interest, and I've talked about something called Forza Motorsport before. It's very technical, very like a lot of people call it car porn. It's like it's literally doing mathematics to figure out the heat of the tires on the cars, so how often you'd have to pit to get new tires if you want to put that simulation on, how much the springs compress, the brakes heat up, how overturning, underturning, all this stuff. You can change the pitch of the spoiler to give you more downforce in the front or the back of your car, like numbers, like mathematics to get your car the way you want it, like a real mechanic on real racetracks. It's very strict, and they want you to do a race line and the whole thing. Forza Horizon, however, is the batshit crazy cousin of Forza Motorsport, where it's this traveling nitro circusy, jackassy version where, like one of them took place in England, and it starts out it's a rave, and all the cars look absolutely beautiful, like reflections in the paint and the speckles of the metal in the metal of the paint, and it's breathtaking. You can hit the button, go into the cockpit of the car, see all the little levers move as you hit the gas, and it's crazy how detail oriented it is. However, this game is all right. There's a hill. How far can you jump your car? The challenge is 900 feet. Jump it, and and that's it. You just put as much nitrous and crap on your car as you can. You jump the thing off a hill, and you try to land it flat on the tires, right? And you can just drive around and drive through fences and jump over churches. But the beauty also is when you're playing motorsport, it's probably you and I think up to 11 other people. It's a 12 grid like a racetrack, and you're trying to race. If you bump, you get penalties, and it's very strict. Horizon is, you jump in the world, you hit a button, immediately it populates you in a room. And in the room can be, I think, up to 40 players. So 39 other little dots are moving around on the map. You could drive over to one. There they go, right past you. Their little gamer tags above their car. And that's it. He smashes into a house, and things go flying, or, whatever. He bumps up next to you, hits his horn, and it immediately puts the thing you want to race. If you hit X, boom, it puts you in a race, and it just randomly picks a point. You want to drive on the street to get there? Great. You want to drive through the forest to weave your way through trees? Great. You want to jump over the buildings to get there if you could do that? Whatever. Whoever gets there first wins. It's nuts. In that beautiful chaos, the DLC packs have been interesting. So you have like UK is real world, but the DLC pack was something called like Thunder Island or something like that, if I remember correctly. But it's like a pirate-themed island. It's not a real island. They make their own island, put streets and roads and things and jumps and buildings on it. But it's in the middle of a lightning storm, I think almost all the time. And so it's this themed thing. Well, with Forza Horizon 3, they did something we all imagined when we were kids, and they did a special DLC that was Hot Wheels. And they put 4 or 5 of the iconic Hot Wheels cars, the twin turbo or twin engine, I think they call it, and the Bone Shaker car, the Model T that's dropped with the flat roof, and a couple others. And they made a fake island, and all the roads are Hot Wheels racetrack. And so some of them go right up the side of a mountain, straight up 90 degrees with a big turn, and you come back down and you fly flat, and you're doing the jumps with the funny. Remember the jumps when we were kids? You added onto the edge of the track, and the one instead of having turbo, because your car doesn't have turbo like nitrous.
Yeah.
You remember the Hot Wheels things where they have the two spinners? You put batteries in it, and they would spin, and when you pushed your Hot Wheel through, it shot your car out the other side of it.
Oh, yeah.
They're positioned strategically around the track, mostly to kind of get you up those 90-degree hills because you're literally driving straight up. But sometimes they're just in fun areas to make the race more fun and dynamic. They have those on the track, and then they have little nods to Hot Wheel history. So in 3... Do you remember? I can't remember what it was called, but there was a big dinosaur Hot Wheels thing you could buy. And you would like jump the car and the dinosaur head would be there like, and you jump like through the dinosaur head or you jump through the mouth and you landed.
I might remember that. I didn't have that. I don't think.
I didn't.
Remember having that, yeah.
But it was cool. Well, there's a big giant dinosaur. So every time you drive down that and there's a Y in a split in the track, and there's a dinosaur right there. So every time you're hauling ass at 180 miles an hour in a Mustang or a Ferrari, and you drive past that dinosaur, he roars right at you. So this big giant dinosaur head comes up in front of you. It was a great DLC. Hot Wheels came out with its own racing game last year, so I'm like, they'll probably never do this again. While at all the game announcements that happened last month, turns out even though Hot Wheels made their own racing game, somehow Microsoft got him to agree to let him do a new Hot Wheels island for Forza Horizon 5, the current game. The DLC comes out on the 19th, so I have to still wait 6 more days. So it's basically next week, Tuesday. And it's a whole new island, all new tracks, new cars to add to your collection to drive around like a maniac on these crazy tracks. And that was some of the most fun driving DLC. I love racing games. I'm a big Smokey and the Bandit and Knight Rider and all that stuff, the big, fast, crazy cars. And this is right up my alley because it's not realistic. It's just you hauling ass at 200 miles an hour and doing crazy jumps and racing just against 20 other people. And you can see the little dots moving around on these Hot Wheels tracks. They're great. Since I'm home tomorrow, I'm probably going to stream myself playing Forza Horizon 3 Hot Wheels stuff in anticipation of the new island next week. I'm not usually home during the day, so I figured I'd maybe play a little bit, pull that up, and see what achievements I haven't gotten yet, and try to pull 1 or 2 off, and to get people excited and see what they can look forward to. So.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Well, it's getting late. I don't want to keep you anymore. I appreciate everybody being patient with me last week and not doing one. And this was fun, and I appreciate you talking to me.
Of course.
And I want to do a little recap. I'd like to start doing this now to remind everybody in case you got here late. We talked about you becoming a godfather and how awesome that is.
Yep.
You show the picture again. Want to be my godfather? So cute.
Right.
Solar technology and my little portable setup and how much it saved me money, and I love it. And Goonies, the movie in general, but the 4K release and you doing the recent live, the new theater showing, which unfortunately I missed last week. Me and the horrible, crappy challenge TV show that I love, and I will always probably watch forever because it's so stupid and ridiculous, but I love it. James Caan, what a loss.
Yeah,
and some of the great movies, The Gambler and Elf and Godfather, and we can sit here.
Alienation, Misery.
Yeah, Misery. Mass Effect as a game in general. And I guess at this point now you only have 2 hours to claim it for free. So, but regardless, Mass Effect, get it, grab it. The newer versions. It's called the Legendary Edition, which is the remastered 4K, super nice looking version of it. You get all 3 games. Man, 150 hours of You getting to play Star Wars, basically. Love it. Nope, the movie next week, right?
Yep, July 22nd.
And then the trailer's already out there. Obviously, I'll have a link to all these things, both in the iTunes information. If you go down to the bottom of your iTunes playing this right now, you'll see links to all that. It'll take you to there, and then you can just go right back to playing this. As a matter of fact, I might even play it if it's just a picture or a video. It might just play the podcast over the top of it. Mm-hmm. And then Forza Horizon 5, the Hot Wheels DLC that comes out next week. And who doesn't love Hot Wheels? But now you get to do it in a video game. 4K at 60 frames a second, looking good. Live out your fantasies from when you were a kid throwing Hot Wheels around. So next week, I don't have anyone scheduled exactly right now, but there'll be someone else. And you have a... I was going to use the word four-way, but that's probably not appropriate. A four-person special edition of the Friendship Dilemma. You're taping this weekend. That'll probably be out next week, Monday, Tuesday?
Sometime during the week.
During the week.
Don't want to put a time frame on it, but sometime during next week it'll be available.
All right. Cool.
Yep.
All right, everybody. See you next week.